Welcome to O&R Insights. This video presentation delivers a systematic overview of key biblical topics dedicated to illuminating biblical truths. Drawing from a foundation of rigorous biblical research, we offer insights tailored for deep thinkers who seek understanding and spiritual clarity. And today, we're tackling one of the most profound questions ever asked. What must I do to be saved?
This whole conversation starts right here with this question. It's not just some abstract theological debate, it's a desperate cry from a terrified jailer who had just witnessed a miracle. His question literally echoes through time, and it's one we all find ourselves asking in one way or another. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with that urgent question, then look at whether the simple, common answers are enough. We'll explore the paradox of perfection, the nuances of assurance, what our role in all this is, and finally, the unifying power of love. Okay, let's dive into this. First up, let's investigate those straightforward, almost formulaic answers we often hear about salvation. Do they really hold up when we take a closer look? The first, and probably the most common answer, is right there in the very next verse given to the jailer, just believe. It seems so simple, so clear-cut. Belief is the key that unlocks salvation. But is belief on its own really enough? This study points out a pretty startling counterpoint from Scripture. James chapter 2, verse 19 says that even demons believe in God, and it terrifies them. So clearly, just agreeing that God exists isn't the whole story. Okay, so what if it's more than just an internal belief? Maybe it's about making an outward confession. This verse in 1 John seems to say that if you confess Jesus is the Son of God, that's the proof that God lives in you. And yet, once again, the Bible shows us something that should make us pause. In Luke chapter 4, verse 41, when face to face with Jesus, demons cried out the very same thing. So even a correct verbal confession isn't the unique defining mark of a saved person.
So maybe it's an action then, something that ties it all together, like baptism. This verse in Mark seems to make it pretty plain. If you believe and you're baptized, you'll be saved. This seems like a solid requirement, right? But then we have one of the most powerful exceptions in all of Scripture, the thief on the cross. Jesus himself promised him paradise that very day. And of course, that man never had a chance to be baptized. This tells us that while baptism is so important, it isn't an absolute must-have prerequisite in every single situation. These exceptions to the simple formulas force us to look deeper toward a standard that is, well, much, much higher. And this leads us right into the paradox of perfection. I mean, listen to this command directly from Jesus. Be perfect. Not just be a good person or try your best. Be perfect, just as God the Father is perfect. That is a truly staggering standard to meet. And that divine command creates this huge tension when you put it next to how the Bible describes our own best efforts. Isaiah chapter 64, verse 6 says that even our righteousnesses, the best things we can do, are like filthy rags to God. So how can we possibly bridge that gap? How can imperfect people meet a standard of absolute perfection? The answer, the key that unlocks this paradox, is a concept called objective justification. Now that might sound complicated, but the idea is actually beautiful in its simplicity. It means our standing with God has nothing to do with how good we are. Instead, Christ's perfect record, his perfect goodness, is applied to us. God sees us as perfect because he's looking at us through Jesus. So if our salvation depends on Christ's perfection and not our own, what does that do to our sense of assurance? Can we actually say for sure that we are saved? This is where we have to navigate the delicate balance between confidence and humility. O&R Insights urges a bit of caution here. It warns against a certain kind of self-confidence, that feeling of, yep, I'm saved, I've checked all the boxes. The example of Peter is a perfect lesson. He was so sure of himself, so confident in his own loyalty, and it led him right to denying Jesus. Our confidence can't be in ourselves. But that caution doesn't mean we have to live in constant fear or doubt. Not at all. The promise is that our assurance comes directly from Jesus. When we bring our hope, our trust, our everything to him, we are as safe as though inside the city of God. Our safety isn't in our feeling saved. It's in him who does the saving. So if salvation is this gift, based on what Christ does that mean we just sit back and do nothing? Are we just passive recipients of this amazing gift?
No, absolutely not. This is where our role becomes crystal clear. We're not sidelined observers. We're active soldiers in a spiritual battle. We are commanded to put on the whole armor of God, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. This isn't about earning our salvation, but about actively defending and living out the salvation that we've been given. So we have belief, confession, obedience, spiritual warfare, but all of these things, all these actions and beliefs have to be rooted in one single supreme attribute. This is the thing that becomes the ultimate evidence of our relationship with God. And you probably know what it is. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 just lays it out so powerfully. You can have faith that moves mountains, but without love, you're nothing. At the end of the day, 3 things last: faith, hope, and love. And the Bible is emphatic. The absolute greatest of these is love. So here's the final takeaway. Salvation is a gift from God, 100%. It is not earned by a single act or a simple formula. It's a gift that we hold on to through a daily, living relationship with our Creator. And the most noticeable, the most obvious result of that relationship is love. And that leaves us with one final, crucial thought to carry with us. If love is the ultimate evidence, the real proof of salvation, then maybe that changes the very question we should be asking ourselves every day. Maybe instead of, what must I do to be saved? The better question is, how must I love?